multiplayer games, where friendships are either made or destroyed. Today we'll be making cubes move, circles move, and cubes spin, in an attempt to make a game where you can harm your friendships beyond repair. Welcome to the first devlog for my indie game, that I don't have a name for yet. You're probably wondering what exactly this game is. Allow me to explain. I've loved multiplayer games my entire life. One of the first games I ever played was the original Smash Bros. On the N64. Since then, I've played games like Castle Crashers, Speedrunners, Ultimate Chicken Horse, and many more. I also enjoy speedrunning, whether watching or running, so one day, as I was lying on my bed thinking of games that I wanted to make, I had an idea. What if I made a Metroidvania about speedrunning? And it's multiplayer. And so this game was born. Now, a little background on me. I've always had an interest in making games, but never really tried using a game engine. Then one day, as I was browsing YouTube, I came across a video by a man named Steven. He was making his dream video game, a first-person shooter. A lot of the games he was taking inspiration from were some of my favorite games, and he claimed to not know much about code, so I thought, if he can do it, so can I. I looked up a tutorial by the one and only Brackies and followed all the way until I gave up because something looked different on my end. A few months later, I tried to make an escape room game. I did it with some borrowed code that allowed the player to drag and drop objects. It took me 12 hours to make this, a masterpiece. Then I stopped for about a month, but one day, as I was looking through my YouTube feed, I noticed something very interesting. The Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam 2021 announcement. I'd seen videos of previous GMTK game jams and decided this would be a good opportunity to make myself learn. Unfortunately, the jam started in about 2 months, so I had a while to wait. I spent my time playing video games until the last minute, but managed to finish my game in time for the jam. It had no audio, graphics, or anything good at all. I also stole a character controller for it. It had tons of bugs, but it was my game, and I was proud of it. So I did a few more game jams, not really making anything good, but definitely learning a lot. With all this experience, I finally felt ready to start this project. I started by adding a square to represent the player. I set up a quick player controller and got it moving back and forth. Very nice. But moving a square is boring. We want actual movement. So I made a basic ability management system and added a double jump and working dash. And working dash. And working dash. So after hours of trying to get my dash to work, I realized that I was just overcomplicating things by trying to be big brain, and we now have a working dash. Unfortunately, in the process of bug fixing, I removed the ability to dash anywhere but left or right. If you want to see all directional dashing, leave a comment down below and I'll see what I can do. Anyway, we have a double jump and dashing, but we still need more movement, because movement is fun. So I decided to make a sprite for the character. I wanted to make a bird character because in my original Metroidvania idea, the main character was a bird. This sprite is definitely not final, I just wanted to get something to look at so it feels more finished. Then I decided to work on movement again, so I added a target for the character to shoot with the gun they don't have. Professional game developer here. In order to break the target, the player needs a gun, so I made a quick revolver sprite and put it into the game. Next I needed the gun to point where the player was trying to aim with the right stick. This should be easy. So for some dumb reason, I challenged myself to figure it out without looking up a tutorial. That was a mistake. I also didn't have AC at this time, which didn't help anything. So after a week of trying to figure this out, I gave up, used a tutorial, and got it working within 15 minutes. I want to die. Shout out to Simple System Studio for the tutorial, by the way. The solution was actually just a simple bit of trigonometry, so I guess I learned that school is actually worth it. Just look up tutorials, nerd. Who needs math when you've got Stack Overflow and YouTube? Anyway, now that I can rotate the gun, I need to add shooting, so I decided to try to change the input system to the newer Unity input system. It turned out to be too much of a hassle though, so I'll probably try to implement it in a future devlog. I also added a little animation when the player turns around. I don't know if I'll keep it though, so let me know in the comments what you think. I finally got to work on implementing bullets and added a trail effect to the bullets. But the bullets weren't shooting correctly yet, so I followed a tutorial by Brackies, and by follow, I mean... Now that we have shooting, aiming, and trail effects, only one thing is left. More movement. Why? Because I love movement. And we still only have a dash and a double jump, so I decided to add knockback when the player shoots. The only problem with this was that the player controllers set the velocity of the player every frame to whatever the player was inputting. This meant that knockback was impossible. But I'm not a programmer for nothing. With Unity and the internet on your side, anything is possible. I decided to just not set the player's velocity to 0 when they're pressing nothing, so now knockback works. The only problem is, knockback is overridden as soon as you move, so you can't accumulate speed, an essential for a speedrunning game. For now though, this works. That's all I have for now, so leave a comment if you have any tips, whether about programming or the editing of this video. Any and all feedback is greatly appreciated.